First and foremost, I have to thank Nikon. They came out with the Nikon ZR, which is a cinema camera and something that I've been asking for them to do. So I have to say, thank you, Nikon. The Nikon ZR is a passive cooling cinema camera with 32-bit floats internally and red RAW on board. Essentially, this camera is a Z6 III underneath, but it's got a massive screen and a bevy of things that we didn't expect. Yes, there are some downsides, but I don't think that's enough to stop most people from buying the camera. So let's take a look at what we've got and see if this camera is the right one for you. So normally when we think cinema camera, we're typically thinking about some kind of box that has active cooling built into it with the possibility of maybe a microphone. And let me specify, I am talking about those built on mirrorless cameras like the FX3, FX30. So Sony defined this box cinema for mirrorless cameras. And a lot of people said in the beginning, you know, this is not a cinema camera. But guess what? They made a couple movies with it. So I guess that cinema camera cred, okay. But let's not forget, there are some movies out there that were shot on an iPhone. No active cooling on that bad boy. So yeah, and it's as small as heck, but did have a massive screen on it. So for me, the thing that I was mainly asking for from Nikon was a big screen. And yes, I like the fact that this camera has a big screen. But there are some downsides. And I think some of the things that other people look for on a cinema camera, things like full-size HDMI port, active cooling, mounting points. And I remember when I looked at the rumors, they said all these things were more likely going to happen, and as time goes by, they were not going to happen. And then when the sneak videos, photos came around, yeah, it didn't sound like we're going to get that. Now we know for sure we are definitely not getting that. Does that make it a deal breaker? Let me know what you think, put it in the comments. So who's the ZR made for? Personally, from what I've been seeing, reading the specs, and different people have been shooting videos and posting on YouTube, this camera can serve the basic content creator all the way up to the professional. And why do I say this? Well, let's start with the basic guys first. You know, there are times when you are recording a video, you're a solo shooter, and you want to show some item and you stick it in front of the camera. Well, guess what? It has a product showcase mode, which is very useful. A lot of us start out as solo content creators, and that kind of thing is good. We don't want to have to keep doing this. We have to put our hand behind to block our eyes so that the camera can focus on the product. You turn that on the camera, boom, you got it, good to go. So let's say you're that next level content creator. You've mastered all the basics and you're doing things outside of a studio and you're moving around. The run and gun kind of guy. And you could be doing video events and so on. You want a camera that has a good sized screen that you can see. That typically means extra monitor, battery, cable, and sometimes a cage. So you gotta rig up this thing to get all this going. With this camera with its 4-inch screen, you kind of negate some of those things. Yes, I do understand that people are complaining about the micro HDMI port, but if you don't have to rig it, I mean, come on, a 4-inch screen, that's almost like this on your camera. Personally, I was hoping they would do a 5-inch screen off of the Z8, because of course the Z8, if you got rid of a lot of those buttons like they did on this new camera, you could fit a 5-inch screen back there. And for the life of me, I would have never expected their first cinema camera to be a small one. I would have thought, just like on the professional side, well, I was on the photography side, they would start on the professional side first. They would give us something in Z8, Z9 size, give us a 5-inch screen, long recording, cooling, and all that. But I am shocked that we get this in a small camera. All right, for that next level, we're talking about folks who are now professionals. It may not be a cam, may not be a B cam, could be a C cam. But then again, depending on the scenario, it could be all three. Of course, it all depends on the shooting case, right? If you're in an area where you don't have the need for big production and you need something small and lighter, yeah, the FX30, FX3, that kind of camera is usually kind of good for that. But you still have to put a monitor on it. With this one, you don't. So that covers three levels right there. The basic guys, prosumer, semi-pro, and a professional. We all can use it. There is one other use case I forgot, and that's the hybrid shooter. Some of us who like to utilize our camera, but we don't want to use EVF. We want a big screen on the back. And there are a lot of people who are utilizing iPhones to shoot. So this camera kind of negates a bunch of all these other items out there just because of that big screen and what you can do with it. And let's not even start talking about codecs and audio and so on, because the mics that are built into it can operate in multiple different modes, front, back, sides. It just does a bevy of things. 32-bit recording, if you plug in mics on it, you can get 32-bit float recording out of it. And that's inside the camera. That's not a separate audio device to add. So again, you just negated a bunch of stuff that you're putting on your camera in a typical sense whenever you want to record or film, I should say, when you're moving around. It's kind of like, again, just having this, nothing else, no mics, no monitor, no cage. It can be done. Now, without diving into the specs, because you guys have seen the specs already, they're all over YouTube. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that this is a Z6 III on the inside. They've added some more features to it to make it even better, so it's going to be a great photo camera as well. A couple of firsts in this camera. Things I've talked about. First Nikon cinema camera. First camera with 32-bit float recording built into it. A first mirrorless cinema camera with a 4-inch flip screen. And first camera with red codec on board. If there's something else that I missed, put in a comment, let me know, because these are really all the items that I like, and a lot of people that I've been chatting with online and so on are interested in a Nikon cinema camera. So I think for us it's a win. For some of you it may not be, but again, if it's not you or if it is you, put it in the comments. There are a couple of items that some people, even myself, would have considered a deal breaker. The micro HDMI, the fact that it doesn't have active cooling, the fact that it has no mounting points. I talked about some of those already, but really and truly, as we think about these features, the ZR has solved them in pretty much all ways. For what it does have, the red Code 3 RAW recording inside, I think it makes it a compelling choice for people who want to record in red RAW. Most people don't use it. Some people are probably going to utilize it when they're showcasing some kind of product and they want like the best quality or filming some shorts. If you have the space and you do production, you are good to go. That's not going to be a major thing for you. And I think for some people saying, hey, it has red code RAW on it, that doesn't really make it a cinema camera. Let's be honest. Nikon camera since the Z9, I've been recording internal RAW. Most of these other cinema cameras, you need an external device to record RAW. And for some of them, you can't even get what you need in all cases. So here's one area that's been like big concern to a lot of people, active cooling. When you think about a cinema camera, most of what we're seeing from Canon, Sony, even on the Lumix, and Lumix, I don't think they consider the S5 a cinema camera, they're just hybrid, but still active cooling. This is something that also was on my list of things that I wanted to say, let me not get this camera. But reminding myself that my Z8 can record for the full 2 hours and 5 minutes, depending on the scenario, or less if it's really hot outside. This camera, from what I've been seeing in some of the testing online, is that it will perform in high heat. People have been utilizing it in 90+ degree weather to shoot with it, and it's been fine. I've seen some videos where people say, hey, I've tested it. It probably like an hour and a half before you get a heat warning. And I mean, that's a lot. And I'll say this, there's some people like, well, it's not good enough to me because I record long events. I'm like, who record long events in RAW? But then again, I don't know. For a lot of people, at least from what I've seen in cinema work, these cinema cameras take a long time to boot up. And usually they want to leave them on because to shut them off and turn them back on and wait for them to boot up is going to be too painful. When you turn on any Nikon camera, the screen comes up pretty much like a couple microseconds, milliseconds really. And if you're thinking about the ZR, the boot time is pretty much the same. When you flip from video to photo, fast. So you don't have to keep the camera on all the time. If you want about it overheating, you can always shut it off when you're not using it. As soon as you're ready to use it again, turn it back on and you're good to go. Because of course, the longer it's on, it's going to develop some heat. But for these cameras, you turn them off, they start cooling down. You can turn them back on again when you want to film. And like I said, if you're shooting a movie or you're shooting some kind of event where you're in control of everything, this camera is great because you don't have to keep turning on, turning it off. You don't have to, you don't have to keep it on all the time. You can turn it off or turn it on when you need. So if you're the person who likes rigging your gear, guess what? Small rig has already had a cage for this. And there are a couple of videos where people were utilizing the small rig cage. People don't realize this. This camera has been around in some users' hands since June, July, based on what I've seen in videos. And it's sufficient time for some of the brands to make cages for it. And I heard Condo Blue and a couple of the guys are going to be making cages as well. The small rig cage, they have like a smaller cage just like for photo use, and there's like a bigger one with a top handle. It also has a little micro HDMI to full HDMI mounting point. Basically plug in the camera, mount it to the cage, plug your external monitor into it, and you're good to go. So I don't believe that's going to be an issue for most people, because if you're going to be utilizing an external monitor, you can flip the screen back, flush against the camera. You don't have to worry about I'm tilting and there's something blocking it, which I've heard some people say, which I'm like, the FX3 that I have, sorry, the FX30, it does that. Most of these cameras, when you flip out the screen, when you plug something in, they touch. My A7R5 was the one that I tended to use a lot for videos when I got it, because that screen flips out, but you can also tilt it from the body and pull it away from the body. So that means knocking the cables that's plugged into the camera, which was great. But again, you can figure a way around it. More people are going to make cables that are going to come out. There's somebody probably will come up with like a right angle cable that kind of lessens the footprint. So we'll see. It's in the early stages. The camera's not even here yet. So guys, don't worry about all these other things. As you know, all these cameras that come out, somebody's going to make a cage and some kind of solution to get around the issues. If you love the camera and all the things that it has and you want to mount it, there are things already on the market and things coming. Yeah, the other thing, audio handle. I would have liked that, but they got 32-bit support, good mic, so that's good. Onboard LUTs, that's cool. Sony cameras have it. I would prefer if it bake it in. That's what I mean. The Sony camera has it. Sony camera can bake in the custom LUT into the image while you record it. You don't have to do it in post. So that's something that I would have liked to see. So the things I talked about are things that I would have liked to see in the camera. And while there are some shortfalls, I think it's more than sufficient what they've done to make up for it, that I would want to get one. What about you? Will it stop from getting the camera? Put in the comments and let me know. I'm curious to hear what you guys are thinking. And if you watch all the videos, well, I shouldn't say all. What you've seen is probably a ton. But I've also been watching stuff from Asia. Who's doing fireworks in the morning? What's going on here? Man, hoping I can clean that up. Yeah, I've watched stuff from Europe and Asia, and those have really dug into some of the features, and their videos are the ones that really got me interested in this camera. So again, comments, and of course, like the video, share, subscribe, all that. So you're probably wondering, and you probably already know if I'm going to get a ZR. Yes, the big selling point for me when I first saw the camera is that big ass screen. Not gonna lie, it's the big ass screen. It's much like when I was looking for the FX30. Well, not say looking for a video camera that I can take around that has good stabilization. When I saw the stabilization footage, yes, I'm sold. Forget, all of the stuff. I watched videos later on to figure that out, and I did watch the Sony video first, but I got it based upon that. But this camera, I already know it's got the Z6 III sensor, and found out later on that unlike the FX30, they didn't cripple it by going only like one shot. All the drive modes, all the things that you have on the Z6 III is going to be in there. And while I did plan on getting the Z6 III, something told me that I think Nikon is going to do some kind of video focused camera. And yes, we got it, the ZR, Z6 III internals with a few extras. Yeah, wow. I was still on the fence to say I'll wait till launch, but I think I'm going to get that now. Yeah, I don't think the wife's going to be happy with that. I'm going to have to sell her on that one. Yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, we're going to have to work that out somehow. Anyhow, guys, you know, the typical stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to go. I need to go sell my wife with this.